Jim, this is Dale. Can I ask you a question?
Course.
Yeah, I've been puzzled over the amount of production Arizona has in hydrocarbons. Uh, I wonder if you have that figure on top of your head.
Um, you mean cumulative or just this last year? It's been about
Pardon me?
altogether ever or just last year?
Altogether.
Altogether ever, it's been about uh, 10 BCF of gas for high helium content. And of course, the net of that is, probably an average of about six. It's about five in some areas, up to eight in some areas. So you have to go through multiply that by the percentage of helium if you
No,
want.
no, I was thinking about hydrocarbons.
Oh, hydrocarbons are pretty much all over. I mean, finished. The only producing oil well is up on the Navajo reservation, making about 10 barrels a day, and the cum is about 18 million barrels.
That's what I want. That figure, 18
18 million barrels.
Everyone,
cumulative figure.
everybody, it is 10 a.m. and this meeting of the Arizona Oil and Gas Conservation Commission has come to order. We are taking roll call. Mr. Nations, are you here?
I'm here still.
Commissioner Firebrand, are you here?
Here.
Commissioner Conway, are you here?
I am here.
Commissioner Ballard,
I'm here, sir.
we have a quorum. Do we have AAG Zeiss with us? Your
I
mic is
apologize. I was on mute. Yes, I am here. Thank you.
very good. We are going to go out of order today on, is there any conflicts of interest? Hearing none, we're going to take things out of order today. We're going to hear from the AAG's office, Mr. Zeiss's boss, Shelley Curtis, and we're going to go into executive session. Do I have a motion to move into executive session?
So move.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. We will go into executive session. For everybody here, we will only be in that for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then we will come back out and move on to our regular schedule with a few minor adjustments.
Commissioner Thorwald, I'm just making sure I have all the right people in the room. Give me a minute.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey guys, how's it going?
How are you?
Good, good. I heard you're working with Heidi's group now, the water group.
Both really. Still with multi all minerals right now until they actually
Oh,
give me something to review.
fun.
Yeah,
So
I
you
did have a
guys got a
question.
new boss there, Keenan.
What was that?
I hear you guys got a new boss there too. The guy from North Dakota there,
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
yeah,
Uh,
Bergman or somebody like that.
Yeah, I think it's who was the last guy who got an email from like Walter Crookshank or something. I
Yeah,
think
don't
it's
know.
the acting secretary. Or no, the acting BLM director. I don't know who the
Oh,
acting secretary is.
yeah. You haven't seen anything about the BLM in particular. I just saw the Department of the Interior.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I got anything with their name on it. I can't remember. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a mess. Let me tell you.
Who is it?
No, I just said that's a big mess right now, just the transition.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
We can make everyone come back to work or work in house.
The other thing is we got different emails, and one of them says that they want the uh, non-bargaining unit employees back full time. So that's basically people who can't be a member of the union. Well, the bargaining unit employees, they're going to work on getting back full time. And I'm part of the bargaining unit. So it wasn't really stated we had to come back full time, but our state director's like, yeah, why don't you try to come back at least half time, and we'll go with that for now, show that we're trying. But I think if I have to come back full time, they'll allow me to go to the other office too that's near my house. So I won't have to drive downtown every
Not
day,
all the way downtown, yeah.
because
And like,
I just don't like that driving all the way downtown and
yeah.
dealing with all the traffic and stuff.
You can
They
stop
have a
off
bus
at
line near you?
What was that?
Do they have a bus line near you? I think they got one that goes down the 51, don't they?
Yeah, they do have a bus.
I used to ride that. That was great. You know?
Yeah, I used to ride it too, but I just don't like having to, it still takes time out of your
Yeah.
day. You got to wait for the bus, get on the bus. It's another 25 minutes to get down there still. Get off the bus. Then if you're working and you want to come back, you got to make sure you don't miss the bus.
Yeah.
And then you got to pay for the bus
Yeah.
unless you want the parking pass. I got a parking pass so I can park. But if I turn in my parking pass, I think they'll give me a card for the bus. But I like having the parking pass because sometimes I'll go down there for events.
hmm
I don't know. All in all, I found I got in just about in the same amount of time, whether I drove or took the bus. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, because for the state too. One thing about that too is the state we got that bus pass card, which ended up being like $1 a day one way. So it was like $2 for your
Yep.
commute. It was probably $10 in gas. Just to
Yeah.
make the trip every day. So it was
Right.
well worth it.
I just like having the ability to go down there and park anytime I want, because if I have to do field work, then I have to go down there and get a parking pass and have them validate it, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I like having the option of being able to leave the building anytime I want and drive home.
Yeah.
Uh, guess I could take away my home.
They still have the BLM field office up there by the Deer Valley Airport.
No, they moved that to 20th Street in Bell.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that office on Bell was set up to be a telecommuting office, so they weren't expecting to have people in there full time. So
Yeah.
they might not have enough workstations. They might have to redo stuff, if they're going to try to do that, bring everybody back.
Yeah. Last time I was out there, they had just opened up the new office there on Bill, but they still had the old
Yep.
one open too.
Yeah, the old one's closed and we're fully moved into the Bell Road one. It's really nice office.
Yeah. I only saw it from the outside.
Yeah, they just fairly recently relocated the district manager and deputy district manager. Oh, looks like we're coming back.
Commissioner Conway, is your camera working?
Let me see if I can get it down.
It would be helpful for the record if it would work, a clearer record. Okay, is everybody, Commissioner Conway, Commissioner Nations, I see both of you. Yes, we're all here. Good. We'll move on to, still out of order a little bit. We're going to move on to 2G. And Wendy, would you go ahead and present this? This is on the website updates, the this data that's going to go into the website for the modules that was being done by Groundwater Protection Council, and also the associated things with that, on the viewer with the data. And we also have our contractor with us, the Geologic Survey, who will talk about this as well. So we'll start off with Wendy. Wendy, I can't hear.
Yes,
Okay.
it just told me I was muted, so thank you. This is Wendy Flood with the Oil and Gas Commission. What I wanted to show you is a change with the change in the website for the Arizona Oil and Gas Conservation Commission from its old format over to the Drupal format through ADOA and ADEQ. It's a more functioning website. It's a more like editable website. It's just a much better website all around for not only us that have to work with it, but you all that get to use it. One of the changes that we are working on is how we show permits on the website. Currently, right now on the website, when you go to it, and you go to the permit page, you would click whatever permit that you would want, and you click on the see more, and you get something that looks like this. This is what's called HTML format. And in order to get this up and running and working for the public facing, it's a very labor intensive process. Not only that, it also is HTML code, which kind of looks like this. And there can be a lot of user error and a lot of issues and problems. So with the transformation of the website over to a new platform, we are going to be getting rid of the HTML platform. And now when you click on the see more, when you pick a well, it's going to look something more like this instead of looking like this. So it's a little bit more user friendly. It follows along with the formatting of the website. So for you commissioners, it's one to let you know what this is, what's coming down, what it's going to look like, as well as we can have some input on the topics like permits and files, drillings, logs. So this is what we are proposing for right now for this, and it will be a much easier way to update a website to go a lot quicker. And I think this looks a lot better, and hopefully you all do too. So this is the aspect of a change that's coming on the permit. It's just how it looks. Instead of looking like this, when you click on a file, it's going to look like this. And then obviously the links would be active if there was something there for you all to look at. Do I have Commissioner Thorwald, I turn it back over to you if the other commissioners have any comments or anything on this page or what it looks like, how it's formatted.
Commissioners, do you have any questions about the looks of the page, where we are so far, and what appears to be going to be on it? We're going to be talking more about other things related to this.
Well, just a quick question. This is Commissioner Ballard. If you click on view, do you get the little categories of files as has been entered in for more recent wells? And if you click on one of those wellbore logs, will they actually download? For the last several months, I've been able to get well files to download, but not log.
So if the file exists, like on this one, borehole composition sonar, if it exists, it will download. If it doesn't exist, then it won't be active and there won't be a link for it. Where it says permit and other file documents and it says view, it's going to look like what you currently see now, which is a PDF of the file from beginning to end.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so when you click on it, it's going to be exactly what you see now. The only thing we're changing is basically like the landing page, but the content is still going to be the exact same.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and then let's say like on this permit, if they have some drilling logs or they have a well completion, then that would be under drilling, not back on the top that you would have to scroll through, and it will be most recent first.
Yeah, I think currently there's like 3 categories. There's permits,
Yeah.
Completions, or drilling and then completions, something like that.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, it's pretty much as it comes in, we can categorize it out. We were thinking these are kind of the main 4 categories.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Was there any
Wendy?
thought to, I'm sorry,
ahead.
was there any, this is Mike Conway. Was there any thought to putting a location map on this splash page?
Well, the location so I'm going to take you back to the web page. The location is already gonna when you are trying to find your well, it's already gonna let's just pick this one right here. Like in order to get to that landing page I just showed, you have to have already picked whatever well you're trying to look at or you're looking at already. So the location is already going to be here because you're going to be coming from this page.
Okay, thank you.
So then in this example, if there was a see more, you would click on a see more. And then when you see more, you'd be looking at this. So this is the information for that file or that permit that you just found on the map. Instead of this.
Wendy, Chairman Thorwald, quick question with regard to the modules that the Groundwater Protection Council has been doing for us. Are they all done at this point, or are they going to be finished soon, or are there any other modules that we originally thought we were going to have that we do not have?
What the Groundwater Protection Council is doing has nothing to do with this actual webpage.
Okay, that's okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. So this is the permit page.
Okay. Now, where does the other one come in?
So part 2 is the production report page. So you'll see on the landing page is we are going to, for the time being, make an area on our website. We're still looking into we're talking with the Record Center and just kind of clarifying a few things with them. But we get a lot of requests for production reports, and a lot of other states have their production reports front and center. So I think if you recall, Commissioner Thorthor, that this was a project from the last administrator was to put these production reports on the website. So currently, as a Band-Aid, we'll talk about forms a little bit later, production reports. We want to have an opportunity and a place for the production reports to be available on the website. So currently, right now, what we're going to be doing is to make a link that would go to a landing page where somebody could get the production reports. Right now, they're not done by well, they're done by county or basin or area. So that's how we would break it out. And we're going to model the page, and this is temporary. We're going to model the page after this page that you can search for something by county. So you would go to the county, you would click on the county, and then it would list all of the production reports for that county. This is just, it's sort of be like a drop-down menu for the county. And if there's nothing in that county, it would say no wells in this county. So that's the other thing that we are working on with our communications department and our webmaster is to make these production reports more front and center for the time being until we can do some other upgrades that we'll talk about later in the meeting. So that's just part 2 of some updates coming to the viewing capability of the website.
And that's where the GWPC is putting in their modules?
No, that
Okay.
has this again has nothing to do with what the GWPC is doing. This is just the commission website and the functionality of the commission website.
Okay. How will the modules and all of that for the data for the wells be? Where is that going to be plugged in?
I am not the best person to answer that question.
Okay. I mean, my understanding was that the data that we're talking about now for the wells was going to be part of that, and that the geologic survey is putting a lot of that, all of that data together to go into that. Is that incorrect?
Again, I'm not the best source of information. I want to make sure that you have the correct information. Is there anybody else that can answer that question for the commissioner?
I will answer it to the best that I can. So
Please introduce yourself first.
Oh, sorry. I'm Samantha Roberts, the administrator for oil and gas. So the RBDMS database is a completely separate thing. When it is loaded with the data, we will have to work with the ADEQ GIS department to get that into a mapping format, because all it is it is a database. It is not a mapping program. And so at this point, we do not have all the data in. Once we do get the data in, it will be a database that can be used, if that makes sense.
And that will be tied to the website. Is that correct?
I do not know at this point. Sorry, I don't have the answer to that, because they would have to work with our IT department and our GIS department to make that happen. So I don't know how that will happen.
My understanding was originally when we discussed this, that this was going to be directly part of the website. So that, I mean, we already have a website for that that we had previously for the viewer, which didn't work well. So,
right.
What is our what are they doing for us with regard to this website, the GWPC?
They have created the database, the RBDMS database, and that database is in production, which means it's ready for us to load data once we have all the data. But right now, there isn't any data in it. We can technically add permit information, new permit information, but we are not adding new permit information until we have all of the data loaded.
Now, the data to be loaded in here, has that changed from our original plans for data loading and what was going to be there to where we are now?
No, U of A, and I think U of A is here and they're going to talk about it. Once that data, once they have completed what they're contracted to do, then we will be able to load that data into the database. That's my understanding.
Tanya Wilson is with the survey. Tanya, could you talk about that for us while we're at this point?
Hi, yes, happy to. So hi everybody, my name is Tanya Wilson. I'm a research geologist at the Arizona Geological Survey at the University of Arizona. I'm the principal investigator for this well files preservation project. So I've been asked to come on and just kind of give you all an overview of the project and an update and status of where we are currently. So overall, this project was started in early 2023, and we started to receive all of the boxes of these legacy well files. So we have all of those currently at our office. And the project scope, we can kind of break it down into 3 different tasks. So the first one, our team is ensuring that each physical piece of paper in each physical well file has been scanned and is available digitally online. So any papers or documents we come across that are not digitally available, we've marked those, and those will be sent back to ADEQ, and my understanding is they'll have another contractor actually do the scanning and make sure that those get in there. So we've taken inventory of those. we also took the existing data that you did have and reformat it into the, I guess, framework that your contractor laid out for the new database. And then the third task is really reviewing, locating and manually entering any other data that's required in that new database framework. And so this project, I think there's 58 boxes and it's over 1,200 oil and gas wells that we're reviewing. Tasks 1 and 2 that I mentioned are already complete. Task 3 we're still working through, but we did deliver a small subset of 100 wells where everything is kind of complete. So we've given those to all and our 8.2 ADEQ, and I believe that their database contractor has kind of reviewed some of that data and given us some feedback, so we can make the process a little bit smoother when we finish out the rest of the work. So let's see. The anticipated end date for this project, we've moved it up to June 30th of this year. So at that time, all the digital data will be delivered to ADEQ, and we'll set up a time for all those boxes to then be picked up and returned to your headquarters. Happy to take any questions.
Actually, I think we're moving a bit far afield. Thank you for your presentation, but Commissioner or Chairman Thorwald, we're kind of getting far afield of the agenda, and that's my concern.
Okay. Tanya, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Wendy Flood, could you finish up on that on G while we're here so we don't have to come back to it on the training?
Sure. So here, let me turn my camera on since I don't have anything to present on this one. So on this one, as we've been discussing throughout the years, the commission has received trainings. And so my understanding is that you want to have some of those a little bit more readily available. So one of the trainings that was brought up by Commissioner Thorwald was by a company called Halliburton. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. And so those presentations were done in the context of a commission meeting. So and so I guess kind of my question for you all is, are you wanting to have those pulled out of the commission meeting minutes since we have them separately? They were a presentation. We can put them on the website, maybe under the resource section or a different area. So I guess that's kind of back to my question to you, Commissioner Thorwald, if that's what your thinking or intention was with those.
I can only speak for myself, but that's what I'm thinking. Commissioners,
Okay.
what are your thoughts? Hearing no,
Well,
go ahead.
This is Commissioner Ballard. It would seem logical if we are building up a training site or a training catalog that those be moved into there instead of just buried in the minutes. It would be, difficult for anybody to find them in the minutes based on a topic. So if it's not a lot of work, I would think it'd be great to have them, as an available resource on the website as training modules.
Yeah, currently on the website, we have an area called resources. And so we could, at the next meeting, I can maybe present a layout or an idea of what that might look like if you would like it here. Or we can further, there's also an area called publications, but a lot of those are older and it's not updated. So we could add to this page. And these trainings by this company were done in September and July of 2020, just as a reference.
Oh, great. No, that looks like a great place for them. And it doesn't really matter where they reside as long as they can be accessed by some kind of link. That's great.
Okay. Commissioner Thor, I'll give it back to you if you want to hear from the other commissioners.
I would ask you one other thing on that. What about the TRRC, the Texas Railroad Commission's training?
So that one, we are moving forward with having that available, but however, because that was from the Texas Railroad Commission and they asked us to not make them public, we are working on a site that you all commissioners will have access to through your through your commission emails to have access to those trainings so that you can take a look at them. But we need to be respectful of the request of the trainer to not put them on a public forum. So they will absolutely be available to the commissioners, and we're just getting that final of how that's going to look and how that's going to work.
Let me comment on that. The commission, Texas Railroad Commission, made that available to all the state employees that might want to take a look at it, including the AG's office, and it should be available to them as well. It should be available to DWR. It should be available to the DEQ, the Water Council, people within the state government that can use it. That's why I've advocated numerous times for putting it on the website with a password to get into it for state employees.
Okay. Well, we like I said, we've been looking at various options, and we have this one that we were thinking was going to work, and it may be possible with like a state email also, but still looking at options, sir. So
thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments on that? How that should be done? How do you want to see it? Hearing none, let us move back to our original agenda here. Two administrator updates. Administrator Roberts, could you start with A, please?
Yes. Thank you, commissioners. I wanted to bring up a issue that we're having with production reports. We do have a couple of producers that are not submitting the reports and not submitting them on time. We do reach out to them and ask for the reports, and we still don't at times get them. So I wanted to talk to the commission and see if they had any solutions or anything that they would recommend that we do to get these production reports in. I know, some states actually charge a fine. We don't have any ability to do that, but I wanted to get your input onto it, or get your input into what you would like us to do in order to get production reports.
Well, this is Commissioner Ballard. I must say that for the last several years, I've actually gathered up all of the production reports about this time of year and tried to put together a summary for the previous year. So I know they trickle in. I guess I'm happy if they get December's report in sometime around now with all, of course, the previous reports that were due earlier in 2024. I guess that kind of makes me happy. There's really two main operators, and one of them is actually operating on the Navajo lands, and is always capital operating is always out of courtesy, I guess, provided us their reports, and they've always come in. The Ranger reports, I think there's been some change in their corporate structure lately, but they were always pretty good about getting them in about this time of year too, for the preceding year if they hadn't sent in any to date. And I think in both cases, a fairly informal reminder has been all that was adequate, a phone call to get them. Now I know of at least one additional operator. I don't know how many you know of that I haven't checked to see if they've filed any reports at all. It'd be their first ones. And so clearly in that case, maybe a more formal letter. I wouldn't think it would have to be too legal at this point, but as a follow-up, I think it would be something that we'd have to remind them of their legal obligations.
Would it be a letter that you would draft and that would be signed by the commissioners or by Mr. Thorwald, or what are your thoughts?
That's really up to Mr. Zeiss. I would say a phone call, especially to the two established operators. I don't know if you have a contact with the other one that I know of, and if there is a fourth, I would think the phone call would come first, and then it would be followed up by a letter that it's really up to Mr. Zeiss whether that comes from the commission or comes from him.
I have authority to, on behalf of the AG's office, to write a letter. I do it for ADQ on a fairly regular basis, and what I would do is work out wording with Chairman Thorwald, present it to the board for approval, um, as part of a reminder to return in your records. I think for the bigger producers, a telephone call is probably going to trigger what you're looking for. But our office is here to help, and if you need a letter, and it's your choice whether I sign it or whether the Chairman Thorwald signs it on behalf of the commission, I'm willing to draft either way. But I'm here to assist.
Thank you, Rick.
Samantha, does that answer your question?
It does. So, just for my clarification, I'll put something together for Mr. Zeiss to review. And then that letter will either be signed by Mr. Zeiss or Commissioner Thorwald. Is that correct?
Correct.
Administrator Roberts, the other concept right now is maybe when you get the original letter is to set up maybe a two-tier system where they get a nice letter in the beginning, and then there'll be a follow-up letter that's a little more terse in its wording
Right.
of what's due. But yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, and we do that already. We reach out to them, we do call them, and sometimes we still don't always get a response. So, but we can definitely follow that format. Thank you.
Commissioners, do you
Fire
have,
Robin?
go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay, I like the idea of a phone call first, so while we're working on the wording of the letters, if somebody could go ahead and make that phone call, I like that idea.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Can we move on?
Commissioners, are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Administrator Roberts, can we move on to B?
Yes. Item B is about our Form 4 well completion. These are both from Myriad Resources. These are both after the fact. The wells have already been abandoned. This was just to complete the file properly because the well completion reports were not submitted. So Myriad, just to complete the file, actually submitted the well completion reports so that we have that information in our file. So if the commissioners did not find anything wrong with them, I looked through them and reviewed them. I didn't see anything. I would like to ask for approval for item 2B1 and item 2B2.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Comments?
This is Commissioner Nations. I move the approval of the API 0201721143 permit 1288 and the Aztec 1-35.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Administrator Roberts, can we move on to 2C?
Yes. 2C is a drilling permit from Myriad Resources. This is for well Porter Canyon -15. I didn't see any issues with the permit. I will note that there is another well, API 02-017-05032, Pan American Petroleum. It was actually spud in 59, and then in 6/14/59, and then it was plugged and abandoned in 7/14/59. That well was drilled to 4,003 feet. Did not contain oil or gas. I don't, for my discussions, no spacing exception is needed. So I am requesting approval for this permit.
Commissioner, do you have any questions or comments? You have all this material that you've received.
This
so-
is Commissioner Nations. I have a comment and would move to approve. I'm just pleased to see that they're drilling to the basement with a permit like this.
Does anybody have any additional comments or questions or any questions for the company?
Well, this is Commissioner Ballard. My only comment is I like the application. I really like maps. You know, I really appreciate all that information.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
This is Commissioner Nations. I move to approve the drilling permit for Porter Canyon -1-5.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Mike Conway. I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Administrator Roberts, let us move on to D.
Okay, item D is where we are Oil and Gas Authority, and it is actually something that we're still working on and we're trying to get clarity on how that affects future permits and permitting in the subsurface. So we had this on here as an agenda item, hoping that we had all the answers right now and could provide additional information, but at this time we're working to get clarity on it.
This is Commissioner Thorwald. We are drafting documents on this to talk to the O'Neill people and to the tribal lands to see if we're in sync on what we're thinking. And we will provide more about this as we move forward, but we want to make sure that we are set in how we work together in the future on all of these things.
And this is AAG size. Just a quick thought is in the Oil and Gas Commission issuing permits. From a legal perspective, I would rather the commission did not begin moving beyond its jurisdictional boundaries. The purpose of looking into this is to establish jurisdiction, not establish, but to reduce to a writing jurisdictional boundaries for not only this commission, but as the commission continues operating. So there's a general understanding of where you can issue permits, where and how the interaction is between surface and subsurface rights with various types of land ownership in the state of Arizona. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions on that? Comments? Hearing none, Administrator Roberts, can we move on to item E?
Yes. The updated reporting forms. Item E is, and if you could pull it up, item E is all of our reporting forms had a clause at the bottom, I believe, that said that they had to be submitted in paper format. What we're looking for is that they have the ability to submit in either paper or electronically. And so we're asking for the commission's approval on changing that verbiage on the bottom to say either paper or electronically, whichever is preferred.
Commissioners, questions or comments?
Well, this is Commissioner Mallard. It's been kind of a sticky issue because, of course, we've also been trying to make those changes in rules. Obviously, everything is out of date as far as mailing, and I believe you're on solid ground because the rules usually say that it needs to be provided in writing. This needs to be in writing. This needs to be in writing, and I think when the rules are being modified, we're going out of our way to make that more understandably that it can be electronic, but I don't think that the requirement is there that it be in writing or mail in the traditional sense. I'm not the only expert here, but that sounds like it's okay to me.
Is there any other comments or questions by the commissioners? I'm going to make a comment. I think this is good. The state has certainly been moving toward this with other boards and commissions to make sure that everybody can submit electronically to be in the modern age here. So I'm certainly for this. Do we have a motion to deal with this? Hearing none, I'll make the motion myself. I move that we approve that to change the reporting form so that it says mail or electronic means, or some similar words to that. Is there a second?
Robbins, second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We have that approval. Administrator Roberts, let's move on to F, staffing and budget.
Commissioner Thorwald.
Chairman Thorwald, I have one more item that I would
Oh.
like to ask for the commissioner's approval on.
Certainly.
And it is in regards to the monthly producers report. The monthly producers report is in a format such that it is submitted by field and not by well numbers, so the producers get to put multiple wells on the form. It hasn't been submitted in electronic format. And what I would like to request approval to do is to come up with a electronic form that would be fillable by the producers and submitted to the commission in an electronic format or in an Excel format that we could actually extract the data.
Commissioners, thoughts?
Well, once again, it's out of date. Ranger's been supplying us both a spreadsheet and a form, and we talked to them about it once, and of course they really have just wanted to send the electronic version, but somewhere it refers to a signature being required, and the interpretation was that an electronic signature wasn't adequate. But so I don't know if they could have a little slip of paper or a cover letter or something to acknowledge it, or exactly what the requirements are.
Commissioner Ballard, is the signature something required within rule? I've been through statute. I don't remember it in statute. And if it requires a signature, I wasn't part of the discussion whether a computer generated signature is sufficient or not. In general, across the legal field, within the last few years, including filings with federal and state courts, a computer generated signature has been sufficient to satisfy for court filings. And if there is a rule that you have in mind, I would like to look at it first.
I'd probably have to send it to you, Rick. It was more a matter of what kind of came up a few years ago, and the interpretation at the time was they had to keep sending them in. And I certainly defer to your judgment and hope that we could make this more efficient.
Let me look into it. Thank you.
Does DEQ, as Commissioner Thorwald, Administrator Roberts, does DEQ take digital signatures right now?
I believe we do. As DEQ as an agency.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Can that be adapted to be used for the Oil and Gas Commission?
I don't see why not. I'd have to check into it, but.
Commissioner Nations, yeah, this is being done in various formats for other agencies, except the digital signatures. So I would suggest that we pursue this.
Okay.
Do we need a motion and on this, a vote?
I so move that we approve this change in the producers' reports to allow for digital signatures pending the Attorney General's review of that motion.
Mr. Zeiss, does that meet with that motion with
Yes, it
your
will.
approval? Okay,
Yes, well, I
fantastic.
think we're more just going to confirm from a legal perspective, both as the administrator with an ADEQ, and I'll go back through rules, but I think you can vote it, and unless it raises a difficulty in the future, which we'll bring up at a future meeting, I think you can move forward.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Mike Conway. I second it.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any nays? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Let us move on to F.
Hi, thank you, commissioners. Staffing and budget update. At this time, I do not have anything to add. We keep this on the agenda in case there are updates, but I don't have any staffing or budget updates to provide at this time.
What is our budget at this point?
Our budget is through the APAF, and our budget, I don't have the number because our budget is the FTE. So we have 1.1 FTEs allocated.
What is an FTE?
That's the position.
Could you explain that a little more? Because I'm not understanding. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's FTE describes the amount of resources allocated, and it refers to the position for the program. So at this time, there's, as I understand it, is 1.1 positions available for working on the program.
FTE is full-time employment, a full-time employee.
So one full-time employee. How many part-time employees?
That's the 0.1.
That's
So
the
it's
0.1.
1.1, yeah.
So what does that come into physical human beings as far as working for somebody that doesn't know what those numbers really mean?
Yeah, it's one full-time employee and partial of another employee.
Okay. So we have one full-time and one, so that's the equivalent, but how many people do we actually have working on things in part-time?
We have, so under the permitting program, we have Wendy, Flood, Robin Thomas, and myself.
Okay.
And Wendy is the full-time.
Okay. And under the other program?
I don't have the data for the other program. You're talking about the Orphan Wealth Program?
Yes, Tina.
I don't have that data.
Tina, is Tina with us still?
She may, Chairman Thorwald, she may have joined for the executive session and left.
Okay. What dollar-wise, where are we on that as well?
I do not have the dollar amount for the permitting program. Because again, it comes from the APAF fund. I can get that amount for you though.
I would like to know that.
Thank you.
Commissioner, do you have any questions on this? Any comments? Hearing none, let us move on to, we've done 2G, let us move on to 2H.
Rules and legislation timeframe updates. I also do not have any additional information to add at this time on the rules or legislation update.
Okay. I'll be discussing that later, so let's just move on to 3, Orphan Well Program update. With this, commissioners, I've asked staff to give us a summary of all of the wells, what's similar with all of them. And if there's a problem well or one you would like for more discussion, tell me that and we will pull that, and the rest we'll vote on in a block.
Okay.
Commissioner Thorwald, this is Wendy Flood.
Yes, go ahead.
That is under item C. I don't know if Andrew Foss has anything for A or B of this topic.
Andrew, do you have anything on A or B?
Yeah, I'll give a quick update. So for 2A, we are in the plugging phase of our program. We plugged 4 wells in December, and we're actually going to review those Form 10s. I believe that's 3D on the agenda. So we'll review those wells plugged in December, and then we additionally plugged 3 this month. And those Form 10s we'll go over next meeting. But That's really the main update for the program. Are there any questions, comments on that?
Fire Robin, I've got a question on two of the wells in this whole list of wells we got. On the
Before we get to that,
Okay.
just on what he was talking about, I jumped ahead to see, and he was just talking about the program updates. So on A, and is there any questions on what he was just saying?
This is Commissioner Nations.
Yes.
I'm a little puzzled about how we proceed on this list. This includes permits to drill. We've already approved Porter Canyon. It also,
Commissioner Nations, give us a second. I jumped ahead and inappropriately started on C. Right now we're on A.
well, yeah,
We'll get to C in just a moment.
that's my question is about program update.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my point is on this list, we have a variety of different categories of wells, most of which are simply permits to plug and abandon. Yet there are 4 of them that are plugged to accept plugging records, which I presume means that those are completed already. And then there's one, well, with a permit to drill, we've already done that. The others I think we've all dealt with already. That means that all the rest of them on that list would simply be approvals to plug and abandon that haven't been done yet. Is that correct? Can we deal with them that as a group with one motion to do that?
That is correct that we have those 4 plugged wells, and then the other, I believe it is 13 wells we're looking for Form 9 approvals for those. As for the motion for all of them, that I believe would be up to Chairman Thorwald and Rick Zeiss.
I think that Chairman Thorwald has locked up. Oh, there he's moving. Okay, it looked like he was locked up. We discussed this in an earlier meeting between Chairman Thorwald and myself, and for the purpose of 13 at plug and abandoned wells, unless the commission had has questions or wants to pull any out for specific discussion, for purposes of moving forward quickly, we could do a group approval of 13 of them.
I have one more question, Commissioner Nations. Some of them have been previously completed, previously plugged and abandoned. And here's a proposal here to go back in and redo that, apparently. Is that the case? Is that what we're looking at? If they've been previously plugged, does that mean that it was inadequate? And that this new program is saying we have to do it again? That's a question.
Correct. Yeah. So a couple of them, as you noted, have been previously plugged. However, they were plugged in many cases in the 60s using mainly mud, aside from a surface plug, which doesn't meet current standards. And we were concerned that there could be potential cross-contamination between the different geologic layers because of the use of mud rather than cement.
So I agree with you that we need to redo them. Yeah.
Commissioner Fire Robin?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
If you need to redo them, I assume that means that basically you re-drill the hole. And it's kind of my experience, if you try and redo a hole, you might end up, your bit sort of digs in and you angle off somewhere else. And so you end up not really plugging the same hole. You might want to give some thought to that.
Yeah, and we have had some issues with that in some of the previous wells that we've plugged. The main goal is at least to make sure that the well casing is plugged properly. Obviously, once you're further beyond the casing, it's very easy to walk out of the hole. But yeah, we are aware of that, and when we're out on the site, we'll do our best to avoid that and properly plug these wells.
Any other questions? Andrew, what about outreach updates?
Yeah, I don't have too much there. We're working on updating some of our outreach materials, mainly our website that kind of summarizes where we are in the program. We're hoping to get that updated in the next week or two. And we are moving forward with getting access agreements signed for all of the wells on private land.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Nations. I have a comment on that. It looks like the outreach program is working very nicely. You're coming up with a lot of obscure wells that have escaped attention in the past.
This is Commissioner Thorwald. Have we found any more since we last spoke about this?
We have added a few wells into consideration that were previously not included in our orphan well list. Many of these had either incomplete or, in some cases, vague plugging paperwork, where we're not entirely confident that the wells were actually plugged, or at the very least, were not plugged up to current standards. So we've added, I believe, 8 wells to consideration for plugging under the program.
Commissioners, any questions? Comments? Hearing none, let's move on to C, which I had mentioned before. Can you give us an update on what is common with all of the 13 wells?
Yes, so we are, as we mentioned before, there are a couple wells that were previously abandoned, but just not up to current standards. So in those cases, as I mentioned, there's usually just a surface plug that's about 10, maybe 20 feet. And then the rest of the well is, plugged using drilling mud. So in those cases, we're going through and updating the plugs to meet our current standards, which is roughly 50 feet above and below every water or oil or gas bearing zone needs to be a solid plug. And in addition to those, we'll update the surface plugs to meet current standards as well. However, for most of these, there either were no plugs, so they're open hole. And in those cases, again, we're going to plug them to meet current standards that are laid out in rule and statute.
Commissioner, do you have any questions on any of them, or you would like to pull any of these for further discussion?
This is Commissioner Nations. I move that we approve the 13 wells on this list that require plug and abandonment permits.
We have a motion to approve these.
I had one question about one well in particular, if we have time.
Is that Commissioner Ballard?
Yes.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Well, I've read through all of them. I think you're getting some good work out of your contractors. I compliment you, Andrew. I had one question about, I think it's well 4 on this list in Roman numerals. At any rate, the API number at the end is 05069. And this is, let's see, yeah, this is a potash well. I'm not really remembering that we've gotten into those before. Unfortunately, there's quite a few of them. And they all went down through the Coconino to, of course, test or core down into the potash. So as we saw really briefly, I think the original depth in this well is something like 1,900 feet. And it looks like the proposed plan only goes down to 500 feet. I just assumed that was because of some agonizing over what was going to be there in the lower part of the hole. I don't think they ever left any casing behind. You know, they just filled the holes with gravel. But a real prime objective would be to seal off the Coconino. I know wouldn't have to go that TD, but you would have to go deeper than 500 feet. I think the top and the bottom of the Coconino are adequately recorded in the file. They were doing stratigraphic logging, so they're pretty accurate on the geology. But I just wondered, is there any chance of getting to the Coconino on that well, you think?
Yeah, so in many cases, for these form 9s, there's a lot of uncertainty because we obviously don't have a rig out on site, and in many cases the files are maybe incomplete as far as if there were any plugs or anything. So we, in some cases, kind of have to do some guesswork as to what's present in the hole. Obviously, like you said, the goal is to seal off any aquifer zones. So if we get out on site and there aren't any plugs, that is the goal, is to go down and seal off the Coconino. But I believe this is one of HGC's wells. So I believe Melissa and Abra are here. If either of you want to jump in and address that question better, you might know more than I on this well.
Is there anyone here that
Yes, this is Melissa Mosey from HydroGeochem. You were saying that the plug only goes to 500 feet?
Well, this is a proposed plugging diagram.
Yeah, the plugging diagram, the plug goes to 1,226
feet. Okay.
And this is because this is the Navajo Nation and there is a helium reservoir underneath, we may go all the way to the bottom. But right now the goal is to plug the Coconino.
I guess I was under the impression this was a potash well. Maybe I got the wrong number.
It was registered as a potash well. The majority of the wells out on the O'Neill lands were registered as potash wells.
Yeah.
But there is a good suspicion that they were really looking for helium.
Well, yeah, a lot of them were drilled, so there's a lot of holes that would be nice to get plugged through the Coconino. So yeah, I see that depth is not as I remembered it. If you can get down through the Coconino, that would make me very happy.
Yes, we will do that. We will make sure to do that.
Is there any other questions, comments? We have a motion to approve the 13, all 13 and C. Do we have a second?
This is Mike Conway. I second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Any nays? Hearing none, the motion carries. Let's move on to 3D.
So 3D is going to be the 4 wells that we plugged in December. Tetra Tech was the contractor that plugged these, so I will let Micah Spencer, their petroleum engineer, discuss these.
Please go ahead.
This is Micah Spencer. So we'll start with the API that ends in 05011, which I think was the first one there on the agenda. So this is a Navajo County well. We moved on the well. We were able to drill out a wood plug and got about 700 feet deeper in the well until we could not make any hole. Then we started setting cement plugs. up to so we set from 1755. We were getting formation, which it's in the pictures.
Okay. That's
Should be at the bottom, very bottom.
yeah.
Yeah, right here. So in the picture two, we are getting formation back and did not make any further hole. So we were likely going out of the well into open hole, like was discussed earlier. And then when we ran the CBL, which I think was Appendix C, that also showed that we were in open hole. We're also losing all fluid that we were pumping. We ended up setting multiple plugs and then a cement retainer and moving, I think on that well bore that you had, the final well bore, up a couple pages. There. So we set those, put a cement retainer pump beneath that, and then did a squeeze and surface plug as well. And those covered the Fort Apache and Coconino formations. And then what was the number of the second well on the agenda?
This is Wendy Flood. It was 60008, correct?
Okay.
Okay, I'll go to that one next. 1 second. Okay.
This well is in the same area as the prior well, also Navajo County, northwest of Snowflake. This one was interesting. They had only drilled 90 feet and got stuck when they drilled it. And then there was never any casing. They left it as just a hole. We were able to find it, which was good. It was below a rock. And then we were able to pump cement from surface. It was actually about 9 feet, but we pumped from there a total of 177 sacks and put a marker at the location as well. There's the marker, and then the other pictures at the bottom you can see was just a hole. Yeah, for reference, the first set of wells here, the first four that we plugged, the only one that had any casing run during drilling of the well was the first one we talked about, the 05011. Next is 05008. So this one is also same area northwest of Snowflake and Navajo County. And this one there was no casing, so we were only able to get tubing to 120 feet. And then we pumped cement from there, which was a total of 291 sacks, and placed the marker. So keep in mind on these that are the large open holes, we had no way to have circulation, so we can't be drilling on these wells. So we were filling the holes that were a safety issue and getting as deep as we possibly could. Some of these had been sitting there. There was a pallet over top of it because this one and the last one were large enough for someone to fall into the well. So the last one, the 05022, We actually found about a 4 foot diameter hole at surface, and it kind of resembled a water well, but it was the oil and gas well. And there was also a lot of pieces of wood, like they placed planks and boards over top of the uh, hole at surface. So first we tried to remove as much of that as we could, and we were able we tagged at 32 feet with a tape measure, but then we were able to find the hole with the tubing and got down to 390. And it was full of mud at that point, and we could not drill out anything as we couldn't circulate through a 4 foot hole. But then we pumped 510 sacks, which is a lot of cement because it's a large hole, filled that up and placed the marker. And this well was actually off of 377, which is more southwest of Holbrook and between Holbrook and Heber in Navajo County.
This is Commissioner Nations.
Yeah.
How do you speculate this well was drilled to be 4 feet in diameter?
I'm not sure because it was only 4 feet for the top 30 to 40 feet, and then it looks like they had those stacked rocks similar to what you see in the water wells. I'm sure it was cable tool drilled. It was around, I think this well was it was drilled in 1919.
Oh yeah.
And I think this was one of the oldest, if not the oldest wells in the state. And there was actually still a piece of the old wooden drilling rig there on location.
Well, congratulations on finding it.
Yeah, a lot of these with this first group of wells that we plugged were from 1919 to, through the 1920s. They were some really old wells.
Sounds like that. Any other questions, commissioners?
No, my only comment is Commissioner Ballard, I really appreciate the photographic record keeping. I want you guys to keep that up. It's just been excellent.
Will do.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, commissioners? The commission. Do we need to vote on this?
Vote approval of plugging the well.
Yeah.
It's approved to 410.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve Form 10, the four plugged wells in that?
Certainly, I will move that we approve the 4 Form 10s for these wells.
Please announce who you are first.
This is Commissioner Ballard.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second to approve those wells?
I'll second Commissioner Nations.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Moving on to 4A, report by the chairman on federal rulemaking and legislation. Mr. Ballard and I have been working on this together, Commissioner Ballard. Commissioner Ballard, did you know of anything on the federal level that we need to pay attention to?
No, I haven't seen any new legislation at the federal level once we found out our grants weren't going to be put on hiatus. That, of course, was the event of the month.
Okay. The only one that I would suggest here in the state that dropped yesterday, legislation is being dropped yesterday, and today is the final day, unless there are strike everything bills later on. But there was a number of them that mentioned oil and gas. Not many of them were key, but we're following them. There was one SB 1444 that has 7 sponsors. The chairman of the Senate and the House Natural Resources Committee, and certainly the Speaker of the House. That one is a key one to take a look at for everybody. That particular bill would make helium wells exempt from an APP. Other than that, I do not have any further report on that, other than that Jim and I are watching them and will continue to monitor and participate in the hearings as they come up where necessary. Is there any questions from the commission? Hearing none, let us move on to the next item, call to the public. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak to the commission?
Hey, Frank, this is Joe Dixon from the public here. I got an email the other day from the AAPG. They're doing a conference on orphan, abandoned, and idle wells. It's going to be February 18th and 19th in Tulsa. I can forward that along to maybe you or Samantha if you would like, and if you haven't seen that yet. Now, if there's anything interesting in there about it.
Mr. Dixon, are you still consulting for the land department?
No, I'm not. I've
Okay.
been doing that for about the past 6 months or so here. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate the information.
Yeah.
Anybody else from the public that would like to speak?
Yeah, this is Brooke, also from the public.
Could you speak up? I had a
excited.
hard time hearing you, Brookie.
Yeah, hold on. Give me 1 second.
Are you still there, Brookie?
Sorry, can you hear me better?
Yes, much better now.
Okay. This is Brooke. I just wanted to say I'm excited to see the new web page and kind of moving away from the HTML. I know how much of a nightmare that was for a long time, so I'm excited to see that that's finally getting replaced. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public that would like to speak?
Hey, Frank, this is, excuse me, this is Joe Dixon again here. One thing I've noticed in the last couple of agendas here, kind of switched from referring to the wells from the state ID number to the API number there, which gives a little more information about location and stuff. At least you can tell what county it's in there by the second 3-digit number there. But I was just curious. It seemed like Chris would always kind of include some information more about the location and maybe who did the wells and stuff. And I know he got some of these big long lists and stuff like that. He used to include a table along there too that would kind of summarize some of that information there, just to, like section, township, and range, and maybe who the operator was, and a little bit more pertinent information. I mean, maybe the commission, you guys get to see more information than the general public does there, but it would be kind of nice to have a little bit more information about some of the locations of some of the wells you're talking about there.
Thank you. I appreciate that comment. I think that's a good comment. Anybody else?
Commissioner Thorwald, this is Rick Zayas from Attorney General's office. Is that something we may want to bring up in a further meeting? Just a suggestion?
I do. I think it is, yes.
Okay.
Anything else? Anybody else that wishes to speak? Moving on to future item agendas, number 7 on the meeting. The very thing that we just talked about, I'd like to see brought up at a future meeting, and I think that would be good to have that. The other thing I would like to have that we can have at a future meeting is the things that are needed at the Interstate Oil and Gas Compact, and talk about that and what statistics and other things that are nice to be able to be presented to those, like the plugging, what it needs still to be plugged in the state, the numbers, production reports, I mean, and I don't mean the reports, but the total number of what is being produced in the state, how much we produced in helium or oil or whatever, and then the number of applications. I'd like to see us talk about that and develop something that could be used at the AZOGCC. Commissioners, is there anything else that you would like to see on the future meeting agendas? Hearing none, it is 11:24, and this meeting of the Arizona Oil and Gas Conservation Commission is concluded. Thank you all for the robust discussions today. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you next time.
Take care.
Oh, Rick, if you're still on the line, can you hear me? No, I guess not.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's 12/7/161 for the production reporting. I'll go back and reread it myself, and it's probably fine.
I'm going to take a look right now as we're speaking. So give me 2 seconds here.
I need to stop the meeting because it's still being live streamed and it's officially over.
This is officially over.
Yeah, so if I leave, I'm gonna end the meeting, is what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Okay, so you guys can just call each other separately.
All right.
Thanks.
Commissioner Ballard, are you still on?
No,
Yes.
I'm gonna end the meeting.
Go ahead and do you have a phone number?
I'll send you an email, Rick, with my phone.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.